joining us. First time on the program, so everybody welcome him. Make him feel welcome. It is Jeff Hayes, Blades public address announcer since 1999, 2000.
That is correct. Yeah, absolutely. Thought I'd do it for a couple of years, and I'm still here.
How many games would that be? Can you keep track?
I'm probably within a few games of being accurate, but I started keeping track a number of years ago when they honored Les Lazaruk, who's been at it 32 years now. I forget how many games he's at, but they honored him for his 2000th game or something. So I started looking back, and as of today, again, this is probably off, I think we're at about 1,072 games. Now, keep in mind, Barney, that about a good 1,000 of those are Saskatoon Blades games. But with this, and this is why I keep doing this, the opportunities that have come my way over the years, never for a kid from small town Saskatchewan would I guess that I would do the 2013 Memorial Cup, the 2010 World Juniors, which I wasn't supposed to do, and top prospects, NHL preseason games. So it's been really an honor, and kudos to the Blades staff, and over the years, great people to work with. They've made it fun for me. So if they want to keep having me, I'll keep doing it. It's lots of fun.
That's a lot of nights away from home. What does the wife think?
Well, we're still married, so maybe that's why I'm not around as much in the wintertime. And she's not much of a sports fan, so when she gets in my case, I start talking sports, and then she leaves me alone. I love her dearly.
Yeah. Like Jeff, so then, I look back my time on Global, 2001 to 2005-ish, whatever. I don't know what year it was exactly, but I always joke about it. There were some lean years.
I know what you're bringing up. I believe it was the 2003-04 season when the Blades had a grand total of 7 wins. Now, they had some overtime points in there, but yeah, that was a pretty lean year. The crowds weren't as big. And but you try to pump them up when you can, and
that's hard work.
It's a little difficult.
That's hard work.
Yep.
How did you do it?
It can be. Don't ask me. I don't even remember what kind of things we did back then, because things have changed dramatically. What we do in-house nowadays at Sasktel Centre, we've got a much more engaged crowd than what we used to. Back in the early days of Saskatchewan Place, not as many seats in the old building at that time, but I remember going to some games where the crowd was pretty rambunctious. What we used to do, you don't see so much anymore, but you'd have the guys chanting out at the goaltender from the opposing team. That's come back. The series just now against the Edmonton Oil Kings, there are people on his end chanting Simcoe, and we didn't prompt it. It just happened. I went, that is so good to see. So it's always a lot of fun.
I remember that. I think it was the mid-90s against the Kamloops Blazers. Yeah. And they were just on them. We got PA. It's PA Saskatoon. Yeah. It's great. You see a lot of the Blades, obviously, but then you also see PA a lot this year. What do you make of this series? Because PA, I think they're 6-1-1 is the record for PA against the Blades.
Yeah. When you look back at the beginning of the season, the Blades, even though they lost the opening game up in PA, they did win their home opener against PA back here, I believe, 3-2 in overtime. And then they handed the Raiders, I think, their only overtime loss in the regular season in PA at the end of January. So the Blades have proved, they can compete with this team. So if they have that mindset, they might be able to steal a few games. Who knows?
Is there a Blades PA series that you go back to and say, well, that was a gooder? Because when I look at it, none of them have gone 7 games.
No, it's there's been some 4-2s, 4-0 sweeps and stuff like that. I remember back in the old barn, and Barney, you probably were at the old arena much more than what I ever was. But I remember back in the mid 80s, there were some good tilts back in the guys when that's when Dave Manson and Curtis Hunt were playing for the Raiders. And we had Kelly Chase, who was just honored here for the Blades. So some really good tilts back in the old barn. And then, like you said, in the 90s, looking back, I would have to say The one that stands out to me is more recent, just because of the storyline with it. 2024, round one, when the Blades took out and we were stacked that year with Fraser Minton, Igor Sidorov, Tanner Mollendijk. But I have to say, man, our assistant general manager, Steve Hildebrandt, his son Max, the goaltender for the Raiders. And I know Steve was probably just not sleeping much because he's going, geez, I want our team to win, but I want my son to do well. It's like, I can't imagine. But the most touching thing was after that series was over was Max and his dad embracing. And I thought, what a great moment.
How do you, is the crowd, are the crowds better when it's a PA Saskatoon?
Yeah, absolutely. There's something more to it, and I'll give credit where credit is due. Prince Albert always brings a number of people down. I've seen they've advertised buses that come down for games 3 and 4, and I hate to say this, but boy, there's times when there's a good PA Raider crowd there. The Raiders score, and it almost sounds like a home game because they are so vocal. Yeah. But we tried our best to drown them out. You know, there's times during the game where all of a sudden you start hearing a Go Raiders chant going. So we've got video that with the drum beating and chanting Go Blades Go, and then our crowd and the kids, they drown them out. So that's what we do.
How do you, what is it after a goal? Is it Our House or something?
Yeah, that's correct. Something we started just a couple of years ago. And if I may go back on this story a little bit, for over the years, I've said to people over the years, man, you know, we need something. You know, what is it, Spokane? They've got that goal song and everybody claps along. And I said, we need something. And but it never, ever happened. And so finally this year I brought it up again. And one of the guys at the Blades staff, Tyler, comes up to me and says, well, maybe after a goal call, you want to go, woo. And I said, nah, people do that. You know, that's already happening. We need something of our own to do. He says, well, let me get back to you. So the pregame video at that time, and the Blades players still do this, they had where the players are in their dressing room, and they are doing this, whose house, our house. So they come back to me and they said, what if you were to yell whose house after a goal and maybe the crowd will yell our house? And so I went and I said, well, let me think about that. I went up to Les Lazaruk, as I do before every game, because I go over the names of him and have to tell a few jokes, which I can't share. That's tradition with us. Booyah, yeah. And that's a story in itself. And so I bring up this idea to Les, and even he was a little skeptical. He says, yeah, I don't know. I guess you can try it. So it was one of the last regular season games, coincidentally, against Moose Jaw 2 years ago. I got our terrific DJ Cush, and I said, you got to help me explain this. So this is pre-game, and there's already people in the stands. So I went on the microphone and said, hey, we want this in time for the playoffs, fans. This is what we want to do. And we coached them and said, this is how it's going to work. So we did a couple whose house, they did our house, and it just took off. And I remember people coming up to me that I've never met before, just saying, we love how you do that. The kids love it. They look forward to it. Keep it up. And I started thinking, well, how long is this going to last? But we're still doing it. Poke check comes out after a victory with a Our House flag, and we still do it. And I'll tell you, that year that we went to the final against Moose Jaw, and you've got about 13,000 plus at Sasktel Centre, all yelling Our House back at you. It's overwhelming. It's a lot of fun. Before you go on, Barney, you're rocking the lid. I got to join you, man. I'm having 732 consecutive bad hair days. I better put the lid on and join you here.
There you go. Nice. I saw De Silva with it. I was going to text him and be like, hey, but they sent me this one last year. Absolutely love it, man. This has been a lot of fun. So excited. I'm going to try and get up. Going to try and come up to a game next week in
Absolutely.
Saskatoon. I would really like to go to the Hauser. I'm not going to lie. It's been years since I've been to a playoff game there, but maybe mosey on up. They changed the fries, though. The old Saskatchewan Place fries were the best. But yeah, I haven't been to a game at Sask Place. But if I do, I'm going to be knocking and coming to shake your hand.
Please do. I think the last time I saw you was at a Blades game quite a few years ago.
Right on. All right. Have a fun series, Jeff. Thanks for doing this.
Hey, my pleasure. Thanks for having me on.